In the new Minecraft 1.19 snapshots, there have been a few mobs detailed with heavy lore implications. One of these is obviously the Warden, which I've theorized on in a previous video. The other is a small, rare-to-find creature that impacts the lore a little bit more than you might think. I'm of course talking about the Allay. When first announced, members of the community were quick to speculate on what the Allay was, and if it was related to the Vex. Now, the Vex and the Allay both have very similar visual styles. They're both blue, they both have similar wing shapes, and they both have white glowing eyes. But there are also some smaller details that further hint to their connection. Both mobs can glow in the dark, and both mobs have similar sound effects. Another interesting similarity is their spawning behaviour. Allays can only be found in pillager outpost or woodland mansion cages. And what's interesting about these two structures is that they're both inhabited by illager mobs. These mobs are Vindicators, Pillagers, and Evokers, which also summon the Vexes. A possible theory based on the Allay and the Vex's connection is that the Evokers from the woodland mansions are experimenting on or changing the Allays into Vexes, hence their similarities. But before we dive into these theories, there is an important question regarding whether Vexes and Allays are ghosts. Let's have a look at the evidence. Firstly, Vexes are described as having a ghostly appearance in the official Minecraft Mod Bestiary book. A book which explains each mob through the eyes of an in-game explorer. Not only this, but the Vex, as well as being able to phase through blocks, is also immune to fire and lava damage. This could be the result of a ghostly form, or maybe something more. The Vex has a unique texture change when it attacks the player or a mob. Its skin appears to have glowing red cracks in it, and this, along with the fire resistance, could be related to the Nether and the origins of the Vex, and possibly the Allay. We'll come back to this later. The evidence for the Allay being a ghost doesn't add up as much as the Vex. The Allay does not have any of these ghost-like abilities that the Vex has, and apart from the Allay's appearance and possibly their name, it is hard to see the Vex and Allay both being ghosts. A popular theory about the Vex is that they are the corrupted version of the Allay, but this theory wouldn't explain the ghost-like features of the Vex and why they are so different to the Allay. Now, the next part of this video will mostly be speculation and has less evidence supporting it. So if you have any ideas on how this theory could be improved, or if you have any theories of your own, please leave a comment down below. I also mentioned the term soul energy a few times, and in relation to this video and others, it simply means the life force of a mob or the player that's focused into one energy. An example would be the Warden's sonic boom attack, or the Soulfire's heat and light source. As we explore the Allay's connections to other things in the world, it's important to question the origins of them, and where they might have come from. I don't think there is a definitive answer just yet, but there are clues to their origins and why the illagers have captured them in the game. Firstly, I would just like to point out a theory I made a few weeks ago theorizing why the illagers could have been to the ancient cities. And in a recent snapshot, the ancient cities were updated to include many further clues supporting my theory. If you haven't seen that video, there'll be a link in the description. In brief, the illager kind, in their search for more power, ventured deep into the ancient cities to learn more about the Warden and the Skulk, and how to harness soul energy. As they travelled throughout the cities, they placed scaffolding and wool blocks to block the vibrations from reaching the Skulk, and to travel the ruins of the city more easily. My updated theory now is that the Allays were found in these cities and were once a part of the civilization that lived there long before the Skulk infestation. Once the illagers arrived, they started to study the Allays and learn how to harness the soul energy like the Warden. After leaving the cities, the Evokers took the Allays to many of their outposts and woodland mansions, experimenting on them until killing them and harnessing their souls, or ghosts, for battle in raids and other events, turning them into the Vexes. This theory, however, isn't perfect, as the Allays might not have been able to survive after the Skulk arrived and the cities were abandoned, as the Warden is able to kill them in-game. Another theory that explains the origins of the Allay is that they are initially from the Nether, the Soul Sand Valley biome to be specific. I speculate this because the original concept for the Allay was going to be introduced all the way back in the Nether update. Back then, the Allay was going to be called the Wisp or the Pixie, and had a much more ghostly texture to what we see today. The theory is that the Allays inhabited the Soul Sand Valley biomes of the Nether as the souls of dead creatures, possibly the ancient builders that once lived there. They were then found by the illagers and brought back to the overworld. The connection to the Nether could explain why the Vex has fire resistance and red cracks in its skin when attacking, although the Allay does not possess the same features. More so, the Allay does not spawn in the Soul Sand Valley game, and there is no sign of the Illagers ever entering the Nether to capture the Allay at all. Perhaps the ancient builder civilization brought the Allays to the overworld and into the ancient cities from the Nether. Or perhaps they're experiments by the evokers that have gone wrong. The Allays are a mysterious mob. Why they would help the player or why they enjoy music so much. Maybe we will never know the true origins or the connections to the Vex. And so as for now, we can only build upon what we know and speculate on the possibilities of their lore.